here loves you, and that's great. I got 2 questions. I got 2 of them.
Okay.
You made Clerks.
I did.
You're that guy. You're making that movie. How did you know? How did you know? Okay. You laid everything on the line. What was it that told you, like, no, this is definitely it? Secondly,
Okay.
let's quit fucking around here tonight. Okay? I want to know MCU. What do you want to do?
What do I want to do?
And thank you for everything.
Thank
You're
you.
great. Love
Change
you.
the world. Let's do an MCU first. When you say, what do I want to do I want to make one of those? Because never. I love watching those. Those are my stories. My grandmother used to be like, when Young and the Restless was on, she was like, shut up, we're watching my stories. That's how I feel about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And even though there are things that I've loved that I've gravitated to it, right? Like I love Degrassi so much so that I called them up and was like, can I be on your fucking show? I love Law and Order, and I called them up. I was like, can I be on your fucking show? And they cast me as a guy who leads into a guy who leads into a guy. So like I got to be in that. But not everything that I love do I try to be involved with. Marvel movies mean more to me as a member of the audience than they could ever mean to me as somebody making them. Number one, I wouldn't be making my film, I'd be making their film, which is totally fine. Those movies are kind of designed, well in advance, and I'm not saying, I've spoken to the Russo brothers, they've told me exactly how much one can bring to the party. But ultimately, like, that's a Kevin's movie, but not Kevin Smith, it'd be Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige's the producer of all those MCU movies, and honestly, the most important Kevin in the world. The only Kevin who must be saved at all fucking costs. Let me go, but Kevin Feige must live. So I love those flicks because they allow me to kick back and feel like an audience member, and I never feel like a filmmaker. When I go to the movies, I don't view them through the prism of like, oh, I'm a filmmaker, I could have done that better. I can resort to just being a fan. Like, that's where I began my career, in the audience, and I'll finish my career in the audience. And ever since, even during my career, I still maintain being a member of the audience for other people's stuff. So, oh shit, what was I just talking about? I just hit a fucking wall. Which one? MCU. So the MCU, so those movies feed me, and feed some part of me that is still lingering from childhood. I read all those comics as a kid, and now they're doing the stories again, and I'm like, I never thought I'd get a second bite at the apple. They were magical enough when I had them on the page the first time and being introduced to this world, this universe, if you will. You don't think it's like you can only lose your virginity once, so to speak, right? So I figured that time was done. And then suddenly they come along and start making these movies that remind me of what it was like to crack that comic book open for the first time. That dials my clock back. That makes me feel fucking young. So that's the stuff that fuels me. It's not like I try to make things like that, but that lights my fire, that inspires me. I go off and make whatever shit that I make and stuff. But I would have no interest in making flicks like that. I knew when I directed my first episode of The Flash, the CW show. It's a 9-day shoot, that's it, man. The last day is just like green screen and shit. So you're only making this thing for 9 fucking days. Essentially like 2 5-day work weeks, put together and stuff with some pre and some post time. When you make something like Endgame, 2 years of your life, you're fucking on a set making that movie. So I would be on fucking Flash, and by day 7, I'd be like, are we still shooting this shit? Like, are you serious? We're not fucking done yet? Shit. So I can't imagine what I'd be like on a movie that was going 2 years long. I'd be like, oh, fuck this. I'd quit, bro. So I love those movies as a spectator. Those are my stories, man. I hope they keep that going forever, because that's the shit that I vibe on. Some people I vibe on your shit. I'm like, I get that because I vibe on somebody else's shit, and it's that Marvel Universe shit. And when I was there in Hall H when fucking they showed Robert Downey Jr., 2 weeks ago, when he unmasked and revealed that he was going to play Doctor Doom. And I was backstage, so I saw every fucking famous person that was about to go on stage and shit, except him. And I'd seen like 20 people dressed like Doctor Doom, but I had no idea they were gonna announce. I thought they were just gonna announce Doctor Doom's the villain. And then all of a sudden Joe Russo's up there in front of 6,500 people, and I'm just backstage with a fucking bunch of people watching the monitors. And he's like, to play Dr. Doom, we have to turn to the world's greatest actor, and there can only be one guy. And all the Dr. Dooms part leave one Dr. Doom by himself. He takes off his mask, and it's fucking Robert Downey Jr. And if you listen hard on any of the fucking footage online, you'll hear from backstage somebody going, "Oh my fucking God!" That was me. That made me so happy, man. Like, I know some people like, he can't be two characters. He can be anything he wants, but Robert Downey Jr. is my happy place. He can be in anything. He can be in my wife if he wants to. So I'll watch him as Dr. Doom, to say the least. So I love that shit, but I don't ever want to make that shit whatsoever. Now, the first question was, how did I know in terms of Clerks? I didn't, and I still don't to this day. I've seen proof that it worked, but I never knew, and I could never say that I knew. And I personally can't take credit for the movie. I stand before you, the 54-year-old version of Kevin Smith, who has been an entertainer for 30 years now and stuff. And in fact, as I learned when I was at the Nut House, there are at least 10 different Kevins, like 10 different aspects, facets of a personality. I don't mean in that civil, many minds of Billy Milligan's kind of way, but we all have different facets to take on different aspects of our life. Right now, you're dealing with the other guy. The other guy is the performative person that I put on, wear like an outfit when I come out on stage. However, the longer I'm on stage and the later it goes, the more I start to slip out of the other guy, and you start to see authentic Kev. That's another version of me and stuff. So I didn't make fucking Clerks. There was a kid years ago, a young version of Kevin Smith, who I don't know why and I don't know how, but he thought that he could make a movie. He saw Richard Linklater's film Slacker, and after years of going to movies himself and whatnot, that movie was the code, that was the algorithm, that cracked everything open. I saw a movie that I viewed with a mixture of what I've described as awe and arrogance. Awe, because I'd never seen anything like it before. I was like, this is incredible. Arrogance, because I was like, well, if this counts as a movie, I could make a fucking movie, So that kid believed he could do it, and without the help, the internet didn't even exist and shit. He'd read some of Spike Lee's how-to books, the makings of his movies and whatnot, but there was no resource one could go to. You couldn't just learn everything like you can now on the internet and stuff. But he learned enough, and then he believed in himself, and he fucking made that fucking movie, man, with no previous experience, dropped out of fucking film school after 4 months and whatnot. No reason that thing should have worked. Just went with his gut. And it fucking worked. I enjoy the spoils of that kid's victory, man. He did the journey. He made the movie and shit. I came into existence right before the movie was introduced to the world. Young Kevin Smith makes this flick where it's about a guy who's not even supposed to be there that day, and he gets killed at the end. Ba-dum-bum. That to me was the funniest joke in the movie. He gets killed, and he's not even supposed to be at work and shit like that. That was young Kevin Smith's take on Clerks. It was everything you saw, plus Dante getting killed. That was important to him. That was the fucking movie. He was an earnest filmmaker, man. He believed in the fucking craft. And it was the mid-90s, early to mid-90s, so every independent film kind of in the third act ended with somebody pulling out a gun. So he was like, well, fuck, somebody's got to pull out a gun in this. He was a big fan of Do the Right Thing. Do the Right Thing is a very funny movie. It takes place all in the span of a day. It becomes very real in the end because it's about something much deeper. He wanted to do that, but he just didn't have anything very deep to say. But he ended his movie with the guy getting killed and shit. So there's a guy named John Pearson, one of my dearest friends. He was the film rep, producer's rep. He was the guy that walked Clerks into every independent distributor and stuff. He had sold Richard Linklater's film Slacker, the movie I love. He had sold Roger and me's first big film, Michael Moore's first big film, Roger and Me. So he had a good track record. And so he came to see Clerks and he loved it. And he was like, I will rep this movie on 3 conditions. And one of them was I helped him write a book that he was about to write about independent film. He's like, I want you to be the voice of the young filmmaker. And we did. The book is called Spike, Mike, Slackers, and Dykes. It's 20 years old at this point. Great book about independent film. The other thing he said is, I'm going to make sure you get an agent. I don't know if your film's ever going to get picked up, but I think you can write. I think you'll be able to work. And he did. He wound up getting me an agent. But he's like, I'm gonna do this and I'll rep the film and I won't even charge you, because generally producer's rep takes a huge percentage. He's going, but you have to agree to cut that ending. And I was like, what? Cut the ending? Why? And he's like, because you made a movie where you fall in love with these two guys over the course of 90 minutes. And then you kill one of them at the end for no better reason than you just don't know how to end the movie. And I was like, no, it's the funniest joke in the movie. He's not even supposed to be there that day and he dies, but I'm bump. And he's like, that's not funny. So he was like, I'll rep the movie if you cut that ending. Now, I know the kid that made the movie. I know him well. Grew up with him and shit. He never would have cut that ending because he was a fierce fucking artistic type. He's like, that's the movie, that's my vision and shit like that. He never would have cut that ending. But the moment John Pearson was like, if you cut that ending, I can help you sell this movie. When he started talking about the future, that's when I fucking woke up. That's when I was like, I got this kid, stand down. Cut the ending, no fucking problem. And we cut that ending. And no regrets, because all of this that has happened since then is predicated on that. So, you know, we all lived happily ever after. Except, in the back of my mind, there's always this nagging thing, man. Me, who's enjoyed the spoils of young Kevin Smith's brave decision to make a movie, even though he didn't know how, I've been enjoying fucking life on that kid's fucking dime. And the only thing that kid wanted was to kill Dante. So, when it came time to do Clerks 3, that was my payback movie. Some people are like, why the fuck did you kill Dante? I was like, I've been trying to do it for 30 fucking years. But that was my, you know, I've tried to thank everyone involved with my success, because I know no person is an island, and a lot of people got me where I am, least of which, not the least of which, are my fictional characters, Dante and Randall. That's why I made Clerks 2, because I was like, oh my God, Dante and Randall have given me everything. The least I could do is give them their lives. Like, they were stuck working at a convenience store, then I stuck them in a movies, but by the end of it, I had them figure out their own destiny. Like, oh my God, we don't have to work for some other asshole, we can buy the fucking store and shit like that. So I love to pay back those I feel who've been involved with my success. I owe everything to young Kevin Smith, and so I felt like the least I could do is fucking let him kill Dante finally. So we did in that movie, and like, you know, honestly, like, if I could cross over in the streams of time, I'm sure young Kevin Smith would be like, well, fucking it's about time, thanks. But I finally gave him what he fucking wanted. So yeah, I can't say I ever knew while we were making it, and even when it was bought, I didn't know, because I was like, well, what'll happen to it? And I didn't know, even when it was doing a little business, it never played on more than 50 screens, ever. It was a true independent art house release. But I never knew then that it would become the Clerks that it is today. You know, I thought, like, if anything, I wasn't even expecting to be the flavor of the month. So I didn't think the movie would, like, last forever and shit. It was based on my life, and I didn't think my life was that interesting. What I forgot was at the root of that movie is a story that anyone can relate to, because everyone has had a shitty job. And that's what that movie's about. Like, when you have a shitty job, the only way to make it tolerable is to fucking hang out with your friend and just bullshit your way through the day. Do anything you can at the job, but fucking work. But fucking work. So for me, like, I still, to this day, I can't say I knew. And even now, I don't, even though the movie has been, it's in the, a few years ago, we got chosen by the Library of Congress to be put on the protected film list. So, every year, the National Film Registry takes like 20, 25 films they deem important, put it onto this list and save it. It's federally protected. I guess in the event of a nuclear war, when they all resurface, they're like, well, at least we have Clerks. You know? And that kid, he could never have conceived of that. You know, and who knows if we would have got there if I left the ending on where Dante gets killed and shit like that. But I would love to go back in time and tell that kid, like, you know this movie that you're making that you think is so fucking important, and you're fucking like torturing yourself and everybody around you to fucking make it happen, and you're putting it on your credit cards like an idiot and shit like that, it works out. it works out, and one day the government deems your movie so important they have to protect your fucking movie. I would love to tell that kid that, and I would love to tell him that. Remember, I took away Dante. We eventually got back to killing him. You know, that's why. I guess I'll never know, so to speak. I know what you're saying. Like, when did you know? Still though, I still sometimes wonder if at any given moment I'm gonna wake up and be like, oh, I have to go to work at the convenience store. It was all just a dream. So far, and if it is a dream, don't fucking wake me up. So far, it's been good. Okay, where are we going next? You, what's your name, Cap?
Hey, sir, my name is Logan.
Logan, give it up for Logan, man!